Howdy again, everybody. This is Doc from Thoroughfan coming to you with the name behind the race, and this week we are going to profile a race up at Saratoga, and the very name of the race obviously brings up the history of one of perhaps the greatest families ever to be involved in thoroughbred racing. A name that really invokes the true spirit of philanthropy, grace, and dedication to this amazing sport. What race and what family am I talking about? You are about to find out as we once again look at the name behind the race. There is no family more synonymous with Saratoga than that of the Whitney family. It is because of the love of the sport that this family had that Saratoga has managed to survive all these years. And because of that passion that was passed down through the generations, that Saratoga was able to rise to be the premier place for summer racing in the country. It all began with William Collins Whitney, a prominent political figure and financier who would also end up being Secretary of the Navy for a time. This was the time when Long Island, New York was full of lush mansions and estates, and Whitney had a few that he cultivated his top racehorses on. He also helped turn a small cottage area in Aiken, South Carolina into a thriving horse center that is still used today to both break two-year-old racehorses and give horses from the north a place to rest and recharge during the winter months. Turning his attention to upstate New York, he, along with some other investors, purchased Saratoga Racecourse in 1901. The track had been in a bit of decline for a while before that, and Whitney set about making many capital improvements to the track, the stands, and the reputation of racing in Saratoga, helping it regain its place of prominence on the racing scene. Many of Whitney's children shared in his passion and love of racing, with sons Harry Payne and William Payne taking on the family stable. William Payne was the founder of the very successful Green Tree stable, and the Whitney Stakes is actually named in his honor, although most recognize the entire family as the name behind this race. What is a little ironic about that is the fact that of the Whitneys of that time, William, often just referred to as Payne Whitney, was not nearly as involved with the horses as his siblings, and Green Tree was more the desire of his wife, Helen Hay. There is one Whitney today, of course, that everyone connects with when they come to Saratoga, but more on her in a minute. The Whitney was inaugurated in 1928, and was initially a handicap contested at 1 1/4 miles. Oddly enough as well, no geldings were allowed to run in the race till 1940. It was run at Belmont Park during World War II and also for a brief time in the 1960s. Then it was shortened to 1 1/8 miles in 1955 and stopped being run as a handicap race in 2013. It now anchors the early part of the race meet at Saratoga every year. There have been many memorable runnings of the Whitney, including probably the most famous upset ever to occur the race in 1973, when Onion beat a not quite feeling his best Secretariat.
Onion on the outside, Secretariat on the rail. 1/8 of a mile to the finish. The leaders head-and-head, stride for stride. Secretariat and Onion. Onion has the lead by a head. Secretariat on the inside, past the 16th ball. It's Onion in front by a head. On the inside, Secretariat.
The 1999 edition, featuring the great stretch battle between Barons and Victory Gallop.
Coming into the final furlong, here's that matchup we've been waiting for the best in the country. Barons and Victory Gallop, nip and tuck down to the final 16th. Barons on the inside, Victory Gallop on the outside. Victory Gallop and Barons. Victory Gallop's got a short lead. Barons is game. It's a photo finish in the Whitney. Too close to call. What a thriller!
Here's commentator
The 2008 edition that saw New York fan favorite commentator pull away to win his second Whitney.
Student Consul trying to reel him in, but time is running out. There's less than a furlong to go, and it's commentator well clear. Followed by Student Consul, and here's commentator to win the Whitney again. And boy, he did it with some front-running style.
And 2015, when one of my personal favorite horses, Honor Code, ran down a game Liam's Map in the last stride to win an absolute thriller.
Wicked Strong and Honor Code have a furlong to reel him in. Totalist is next. They're coming to the final 16. Liam's Map reaching for the wire. Honor Code running out of time. Liam's Map, here comes Honor Code. Here's the wire. Honor Code looked like he got him in the last stride.
So, that Whitney name most known with Saratoga today? Why, that would be none other than the officially declared Queen of Saratoga herself, Mary Lou Whitney. She immediately fell in love with the area when first introduced to it by her then-husband Cornelius Vanderbilt Sonny Whitney, known as C.V. Whitney to everybody, in the late 1950s. C.V. didn't want to burden Mary Lou with the horses his stable had after he died, so he actually dispersed most of his horses in sales in the 1980s. After his death in 1992, Mary Lou set to work to find and repurchase many of the mares that C.V. had sold, and established Mary Lou Whitney Stable. Probably the horse she is most known for breeding and racing is the one that left over 120,000 fans waiting for history to occur, standing in stunned silence one early evening in June 2004.
Birdstone is it up front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
No one has done more for Saratoga than Mary Lou and her current husband, John Hendrickson. She has been involved in so many varied projects in the area and has raised and donated millions of dollars for these projects. From helping to create the Saratoga Performing Arts Center, to holding lavish parties and dinners, to donating millions to the local hospital, there's not an area of philanthropy she has not touched. In the racing world, she is most known for being a champion of racehorse retirement, making sure that anyone who happens to end up with one of her horses knows that she can be contacted to take them back at any time should the need arise. And for her love of the unsung heroes of the racing world, the backstretch workers. She and her husband founded the Saratoga Backstretch Appreciation Program in 2008, and every Saratoga meet they host events and dinners every week for the workers on the backside, making sure these often unseen but vital parts of the racing industry get to enjoy themselves during the best racing of the year as well. In 2010, she was honored with an Eclipse Award of Merit for all she has done for the racing game. Her speech is one that should be heard by everyone involved in racing to remind us all why we are involved in this amazingly wonderful sport.
We all should also remember that racing is not just about betting. The beauty, the pageantry, and flair is what separates our sport from any other. Every race meet must be an extraordinary event, the only place to be. As we look to the future, we must also pass on the passion and excitement of this glamour sport to the next generation. It is our obligation. A candle loses nothing by lighting another.
What else can you say? The Whitneys just is truly one of the most amazing families in racing, and Mary Lou, just the personification of grace and philanthropy and dedication and kindness. Really, we need people like Mary Lou Whitney in this game, and I personally hope she lives to be 100 and beyond. Just the amazing things that she and her husband have done, both for the Saratoga region itself and for the racetrack, and especially for the horses and the backstretch workers. Just really remembering everything that makes this sport so great. That's going to do it for this week's edition of The Name Behind the Race. If you happen to have a race that you're curious about the history or the naming behind, drop us a line here at Thoroughfan. I'd be happy to research it for you. You never know, it could end up on a future segment. I am Doc for Thoroughfan, and we will see you next time on The Name Behind the Race. If you're an incredibly passionate thoroughbred racing fan and want to find a whole bunch of people that are just like you, why not check out Thoroughfan at thoroughfan.com. Sign up to become a member, get our amazing weekly newsletter, and learn everything and anything there is to know about this amazing sport we call thoroughbred horse racing. Thoroughfan, giving the fans a voice.